Hey everyone, I am here with Peter Gray, the famed session artist, and I'm going to hand the mic over to him and ask him some questions about the whole session world. But first of all, briefly, Peter, tell us how you got into this area of hairdressing.
Well, it kind of all started when I moved to the UK from South Africa. I'd been hairdressing about 2.5 years there, and was fairly bored already. Knew I was going to be no good in the salons. Got to Sassoon's in London. They didn't make it in there. Got to Tony and Guy, left after 5 weeks, and joined a company called Casley & Co. And Greg Casley was a big session hairdresser at the time. Eugene was working in the salon. There were some amazing people around at that time, and they were all using the salon to do their haircuts, and the influence just rubbed off. I moved up north to work at Sassoon's and met Ray Allington up there, and Ray got me into doing all the local bands, introduced me to everyone, and when all the bands moved down to London, it was sort of about 91, 92, I moved down. I ended up living with Eugene, working on all his preps and all his shows in between my teaching excursions with Sassoon's. And I was just hooked from the word go. I think the interesting thing about shooting is that it's absolutely different every single day. It's not like there's any sort of regularity. You can't expect it to have any sort of feeling of that client that'll love you forever. It just doesn't, because the very nature of it is that people fall in and out of love with you, because it's fashion at the end of the day. You have to know that you are going to be thrown by the wayside. You're going to have to run like hell to catch up, and then hope that you're good enough to be taken back again and get another round and another and another. So it's one of those jobs that really keeps you on your toes all the time.
So I see you at Fashion Week, and I know you do all the great, wonderful shows. What other things do you do in addition to that? Like a regular in a year, what are some of your favorite jobs?
Oh, I mean, shooting sort of week to week, week in, week out. I'm doing editorial for various magazines. I'm based in New York, have a place in London, have a kit in LA, and have most of a kit in Paris. So you're sort of constantly commuting, if you like, which sounds great, but you've got to get used to working through jet lag, because you're inevitably getting off the plane and going straight into a job, trying to grab a shower, or at least a basin shower wherever you are. Other than that, I'm doing advertising, do consultancy for various product companies. I have no contract or anything at the moment, and that's sort of my own personal decision for the last sort of 4 or 5 years. And it was just a way of being free and starting to expand, spread my own wings. I've got this amazing team at the moment, which started off with 3 of us, which was the 3B, and then we kind of became the Jaffia, because most of them were Japanese. And now it's the PG Zoo, because it's got up to 22, which includes a colorist. It includes like a huge variety of people from different salons, Japan. We have one from Korea, got a couple from London, a couple from New York, and we all meet together at one sort of spot, and we do hair shows. We've been doing them up until last year in Japan and self-financed, and then we just started with self-financed with the help of Honda salons in Japan. They've been really, really fantastic, because they release their staff for us, and they have 60 staff, which means that we have a huge amount of ability to do great ideas. And doing these independent shows has kind of led us into somewhere which it's not really hairdressing anymore. It really has got into a point where it is architecture and sculpture mixed in the truest sense. We have a sculptor in London who does consultancy for us. We're working with a special effects and props person, 2 different people there, a welder. It's been a real adventure, and basically just trying to push the medium to the next level.
So my last question, what advice would you have for anyone wanting to get into the session world?
The most important piece of advice I can give anybody is leave your ego at home and be prepared to work. And that's all in capitals, because you're going to work like you've never worked before. And we have this thing where the first time you break 24 hours without sleep, you're a 24 hours virgin, then a 48-hour virgin, and then the 72-hour virgin is finally, you know, the sort of top end of the tree. And that literally is 72 hours working without sleep. I mean, at which point, you know, some people function extremely well and are extremely focused. Other people fall apart. But it's, you know, how far can you push yourself? How far can you drive yourself in the search for new ideas? But I think, you know, it's all about lack of ego, dedication to the actual task at hand, and realizing that it's, at the end of the day, about the hair, not just about, you know, yourself and creating, you know, some myth around yourself. I mean, it really is about teamwork. The most amazing teamwork goes into anything I produce personally.
Thank you, and cheers, Mr. Peter.
Thank you very much, Modern.